Hi, I'm Steve. Welcome to my shop. I'm getting ready to change the dust collection piping configuration behind my joiner to make the gates more accessible. I get a lot of questions on my joiner planer combo. The one I have is a Minimax FS41ES, and I thought since I had to move the joiner, I'd just do an overview of the joiner planer combo. Now, my preference has always been to separates, but a joiner planer combo, it just fits in my space better, and I thought I'd just share some thoughts with you on my machine. Now, this machine I purchased new in 2007, so that makes it 17 years old this year. So one of the most important things is cut quality, and this particular machine I've got has the 4-knife Tersa head. It was the spiral cutter heads were not a thing at the time of this machine, and I think if I were to do that now, because I do a lot of figured woods, interlocking grains, and just to avoid tear out, reduce the noise, I think I'd probably opt for those cutter heads now as opposed to the Tersa knife, although for a straight knife system, Tersa knife is the way to go. So the next most important thing, other than cut quality and the quality of the machinery, I think, is how long does it take to change back and forth between joiner mode and planer mode, or if you're in Europe, between planer and thicknesser. And I just want to put the clock to it, and I'll just take it from my normal configuration, and I think what I'll do is I'll time this to get thickness to 25 millimeters or approximately 1 inch, and just show you the results. This is what I normally do. This first thing I'm going to do is start the stopwatch. .24.5 millimeters, stop. And this is what I've got, 32.3 seconds. Okay, so now I'm ready to plane, and in this case I went to 24.5 millimeters, a little less than 1 inch. So now I'm going to go back to planer mode. I've reset my stopwatch, and I'm going to press start. I got to get the planer table below 100 millimeters or so, or 4 inches. That's so that I can flip this lid back. And stop. So that's the time to get back to planer mode or thicknesser, 34.5 seconds. So if you have a different make machine or even a different model Minimax, I'd love to hear how long it takes you to do to change from one back to the other. This to me is minimal time. And I found that over the years I've owned this is not a big deal. But if I had to crank a hand wheel every time, I think I would be less inclined to be satisfied with it. So anyway, post in the comments below what the time of conversion is for your machine and what it is, and that's just to let other people know so that they can make their own decision about whether this joiner planer combo will be an asset to them or a nuisance. And just for safety, I'll cover the cutter head, because those knives, I've just replaced them. They are sharp. With my dust collection hose. And the bungee cords just to keep this hose up out of the way when I use the planer, because otherwise it hangs down. Now, I'm not sure whether this is an option or not, but it comes with this tow bar, or I call them a Johnson bar, and it does have a swivel notch here, and it does connect here, but it's got two built-in wheels on this end, and I just insert this, pick that thing up, and it allows me to engage the wheels into a lower slot. There's one on the front, one on the back. Just lower that down, and it's sitting up on the wheels. I'm going to come around to the other side, engage it in the slot, and now I can move this thing around. Now, this machine weighs approximately, I think it was about 1,200 pounds. It moves fairly easily with the system. Let's just get this out of the way. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is the controls and indicators. This is a main power switch. It's just on or off. Emergency stop, start, stop. There's a digital display which I've got set up for metric. It will indicate to the nearest tenth of a millimeter. It can be converted over to imperial measurements if that's what you prefer. This is the planer table up and down, and it is 2-speed. Once you click it, it starts either up or down. It starts going slow. You keep holding it down, and the speed goes to a faster speed. And this here is just a power available indicator light. This handle down here is a switch for the feed on the planer. It is 7 meters per minute. Down is 14 meters per minute. I'm typically using hardwood, so I'm at the 7. If I were using softer woods, this thing can really whip through at 14, and the center position is neutral. Now the guard, in the US, they'll come with this pork chop guard, and I'll give you my honest opinion of this. This thing's never worked right. I'll install it just to show you why I hate it, but it never quite worked right. My preference, having come from a Felder full combo machine, is the EuroGuard. The EuroGuard, I will say that I like the safety features of this. This EuroGuard, I think, is not quite up to the quality that the Felder unit is, but hey, it is what it is. Now, one thing I did do here was I changed this knob. There used to be a tiny knob here, so I went to JW Winco and got that. You can adjust this regard in and out, and this knob here will adjust the height. And you can get up to, I don't know, it'll flex a bit on you, but I'm not sure what it is. Looks like it's about, I'm pretty sure I can get 75 millimeter stock through there with that guard, and it's completely in place. And I usually just press it down and spin that knob to get it in place. It has a lever here which you can disengage and just swing that out of the way, and you saw me do that when I changed the from joiner to planer mode. This is uses 410 millimeter knives, which is approximately 16 inches. And if you install this pork chop guard, watch it can't make a liar out of me, but now this is plastic. It's not the greatest quality in the world, but see what happens. Quick stock through, and it doesn't come back to cover the blade by itself. That is my biggest gripe about this particular thing. And plus another thing to consider is that when you're feeding wide stock through here, that stock starts connecting up here and the cutter head is exposed well before the material gets to the cutter. So that's why I don't like this one, despite the fact that it's never worked right to begin with. And this will probably be the last time it ever goes on the machine. I guess I don't even need to put that nut or screw in there, but that's a pork chop guard. Now this fence is center mounted here. It's got a steel guard and a little flip thing in the back to allow it to pivot when you tilt the joiner or pivot the joiner tables up. Now this one came with I guess a low auxiliary fence on this on the standard fence, and honestly I used it one time. You know, I guess if you use a fence and you're using real thin stock and you want better access, I guess that would work for you, but I typically don't use it that way. Usually I'm freehanding the material through without the use of the fence unless I'm joining an edge. Now this fence will pivot backwards, and you just pull that handle, and I never really do this, but you can tighten that into place for whatever angle you need to use. And since I'm not sure the stop is right at 90 degrees, it's 90 degrees. Now, as far as fence rigidity, if I go pressing this fence, it does flex slightly. This is considerably different than the Felder unit, which is supported from a solid steel bar down here on the end with a long arm that covers the fence. This fence system I like a little better. It looks like the height of it is, from table to top, is 168 millimeters, which is plenty tall. You can move this back or move this forward, and this will give you access to the controls on the back. There's a little lever here. This is a solid steel bar, and you can lock that in position. This little thing here, it latches the rod in position without tightening the knob when you pull it all the way forward, and that's so it doesn't fall back when you use the joiner table. But overall, I like this fence. It's pretty good. See if there's anything else I can think about here. Yep, there are a few things. This handle down here allows you to adjust the height of the outfeed table. Once I checked the calibration when I first got the machine 17 years ago, I've not touched that ever. And it's just been done a great job since then. This is the infeed lever. Typically I don't change this a whole lot. I generally, my joining cuts, I generally make a light cut, and there's an indicator scale here on the side. It says it will go, actually I'll just move it. It's got a little kip lever there to lock it, although I typically never lock it. There's enough friction here to where you can just do that, but it looks like it goes to about 3/16 of an inch thick, which is probably about 5 millimeters or so. But I'll just lock that in position. Now this lever here is to unlatch the table to flip the joiner tables up, and it's one lever operation. The Felder has 2 cam levers that engage both the infeed and outfeed side. Now, as far as the overall width of the joiner table, it's roughly 16.5 inches there, 16.5, a little more than 16.5 there. Obviously, you've got to come out here with the angled flight deck, and the length is 86 3/4 inches, which is 2.2 meters. I added some Eigner rails because I've got the aluminum extension tables, and honestly, I've never used them. This joiner table's always been long enough for the stock that I use. Now when I move this, I'll get to this lever here in just a minute, but in order to demonstrate that, I'll go to planer mode. So I'll just flip the upper guard out of the way, make sure the handle in the back is loosened, pull this thing forward, and this pulls fairly easy. There's actually a nylon roller bearing here that helps it scoot across the table nicely. So once I've got this done, this is the table lock, and to do that, just loosen it, pull it out, and lift the tables up. And you can see there's some spring assist here. They're pretty beefy. Looks to be about 12 millimeter diameter spring steel. This has a little lock here to lock the tables in the up position. It is adjustable. I've never had to adjust it. I've added a little label there that reminds me to disengage the feed drive. The knife's, the cutter head is a 4-knife Tersa cutter head. Like I said earlier, if I were to purchase this machine now, I would probably go with the carbide insert helical head, which just was not available at the time. Now I've already got a video on how to change these knives. It's probably 7 or 8 years ago. But you just hammer these wedges loose, you align the blade, and you push the blade out through this hole here. Now I've just replaced the knives. The ones I use are the M42 Plus, which is, I think it's a good value. I think these run about $16.70 per knife. It gives you 2 edges, comes in packages of 2, and so for 4 knives you're talking about $75 or so US. And these are very sharp. These are the old knives. I usually like to keep an extra set around just in case I need to use some, let's say, lumber that has a lot of dirt and grit in it, and I don't want to ruin a fresh set of knives, so it's quick enough to change it out that I don't worry about it. And so these are 410 millimeters length, but you can use shorter knives. These are diamond coated. I got these from Rangate. I tried out and had two slots set up with the 100 millimeter and 310 millimeter blades, because they can't do the 410 millimeters for, I guess, run into length issues with their coating method. I probably am not going to get these again. Yes, they do last longer than the M42 Plus, but I'm not sure that I quite got the amount of usage out of it that I should. So these knives have actually, I've used both edges, and I installed them about 4 years ago. So I guess you can say they held up pretty well. I'm getting probably 3 times the life knife out of these, but that Kangala Alvas that I used in the last project, it does a number on these knives. It doesn't seem to matter whether it's diamond coated or not. You can get chrome knives, which is what this machine came with. They don't last very long at all. If you're doing softwood, I guess they're, like pine, they're probably pretty decent for that, but they're cheap. You can also get carbide knives. I've priced the carbide knives for this machine, all 4 knives. It would cost me about $550. And I said, do I really need it? And I'm just saying, you know, a total of $550 or so versus $75 to replace all the knives with M42. So one of the things I like about this machine is the fact that the dust collection port stays on the same side of the machine. With the Felder, you have to lower the table much lower than this, which is 100 millimeters or so. You have to flip the hood over, move your dust collection hose around. This one, it just stays in the same spot all the time. It works. I don't think the dust collection on this is as good as it is on the Felder, but it works. I do typically find dust on the, not so much the joiner table, but on the planer table when I'm done with an operation. You can't see it, but this machine does have a segmented infeed and a steel outfeed roller. I've not planing on this. I've never experienced snipe with this at all, and I've not done anything to adjust the cutter head. It came that way, and that's what I like about this one. And the Felder unit I had similar results with that. I can't complain about the cut quality on either one of them. Both of them had 4-knife systems. I kind of like the Tersa a little bit better than the Felder system. It's quicker to change knives. One of the changes I did, I went to local Lowe's and bought, I think they call these Firmco fittings. This is a piece of rubber because the diameter of this and the diameter of my connector and the hose didn't quite match up. So this thing seems to fill the gap, and it's worked well. As far as length of the planer bed, 30.5 inches or 775 millimeters. It's kind of hard to get the camera down there, but there are rubber boots. This is a 4-post planer bed. The scale on this thing, I think I can get down to, I'm not sure exactly how far down it'll go, but looks like there's a stop there, so maybe 9 inches or 225 millimeters or so. I've never taken it down that far. But one of the things I figured out with this, or even the Felder unit, these are the only two machines I've got experience with. I can't attest to what any other machine does. I just do not know. And so I'll just leave it up to people that actually own those machines and have used them to determine how they do. But I can stand boards on edge, tall boards, and I use this planer to do final sizing on my material. And it does a great job. I found with a segmented infeed roller that it will leave tracks on your face of your material or on the edge if you don't take enough material off. So generally I'm shooting, depending upon the hardness of the wood, between 0.5 to 1 millimeter taken off, and this will do more, but the most I usually take off is 2 millimeters, and I've done that. I did that on the garden bench project. Now it does come with a toolkit. Has a brass thing to knock the wedges down. I typically use a yellow or a sticky to annotate when I've put the knives in and when I turn them. Toolkit stores nicely under here, and I keep my extra 4 knives that have been used, but these are reserved for I'll say questionable woods. One that I don't want to dull a new knife on. Okay, so for thicknessing or planing, this has a digital display. I don't have the cord length enough to get to the outlet now, but this has a relative and absolute position. I only use the absolute. I can't recall ever using a relative position, but relative is wherever the table is now. You can change the display, and if you wanted to take 2/10 more off, all it does is save some math in the head. Now this, I calibrated this once 17 years ago, and it has been spot on the entire time. So what's gone wrong in the 17 years I've had this machine? Not much, but what I did have go wrong happened during the first year of ownership while it was under warranty. And the symptoms were, I'd be manipulating wood, I'd run things through the joiner and put the jointed material down on a table, go pick something else up, the machine's still running, and it would just shut down while the machine was not under load. Okay, it would start right back up, but it happened frequently enough that I was concerned that there was an issue. So I called SCM service, and they went through their checklist and determined that I needed a new main power switch. So they sent me a new main power switch under warranty. This is the box it came in, and it's still in the box, because what I had when I opened this is before I took any electrical panels off. You look on this switch up in this corner here. See it right there. You'll see a little adjustable settings. That's for thermal overloads. And that's based on current. You get too much current for too long, so you're overloaded and it trips your machine off. Now the real question is, why was it doing it when the machine really wasn't under load? At the time, I was running a rotary phase converter, and if you're familiar with the operation of those, the manufactured leg, which is often called the wild leg, is because when you turn that thing on, even though your voltage, nominal voltage may be 230 volts or 240 volts, depending upon whatever the grid is where you are, and the wild leg would generally run about 275. In my case, it was running 277 volts, and which theoretically should reduce the current in that leg. This thing, I decided to take a chance, so I just bumped that setting up just a little bit. I don't know whether the camera can pick that up now or not, but it looks like it has numbers on there, and I think that's amps. So I just bumped it up just a little bit. And after I did that, the symptoms went away. So this is a brand new switch. I guess they call that new old stock now, but I never installed it, and the problem seemed to resolve itself. So now that I've gone to a digital phase perfect, I think the symptoms that I could probably bump that back down, probably wouldn't be an issue, but hey, that takes work to remove the front cover, and I wasn't going to do that. So that's really the only thing that went wrong with this machine over my entire period of ownership. Okay, so this is the back side of the machine, and Minimax actually made a mistake. They shipped me the wrong machine. They shipped me a machine with the option of a slot mortiser on it, and that connects to here in some way. I mean, I got the thing, I called them and says, look, I didn't order this, and I said, what do you want me to do? So they took a day or two and contacted me and said, yeah, we'd like the slot mortiser back. And I will tell you that it was one beefy beast that would stick out quite a bit, and I just thought I'd share that with you. It is available in this machine. They told me do not bother taking the chuck off that's installed in here, because it will probably not come off. And so I didn't, and the chuck's still there. I never had it installed on the machine, but it is available and it looked beefy. And that's the purpose of these on-off switches on this side, so that when you're using the slot mortiser, you can turn the machine on from these switches. Okay, so the thing you need to understand about this has a solid post, whereas if you're comparing it to a felder or hammer, there's a post or a bar at the in-feed side of the machine. The felder, you can actually get closer to a wall than this unit on here. From the base of the machine out to the end of this post is right at 16.5 inches, so you cannot get this as close to the wall as you can, say, the felder unit. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful to you. If you've got another machine, another joiner planer combo, and have insights on other makes, models of machines than this one, I'm sure other users would appreciate it, because honestly, European manufacturers do such a lousy job of marketing their machines and providing sufficient information where we consumers can make educated and knowledgeable decisions. That's really was the purpose of this video, plus the fact that I needed to move it out of the way anyway. So, and that's what I'm going to get to now. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you got any questions or comments, please post them below, and we'll catch you on the next one.